Are we filming? Are we filming? Yes, we are. Welcome to another video. I'm in two minds whether to do this or not, but I've decided while I was drinking a coffee just now, I thought, do you know what? I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to start with a digression. Normally I digress halfway through my video, and I have to sort of drag myself back in check to get onto the point. And I know some people are saying, mate, get to the point, Neil, get to the point. But what I'm going to do in this, there is a bit of digression right at the very beginning. And if you want to see what I'm going to do with these pens, with this clearly very old book, then you can scroll forwards to the time on the screen now and avoid this digression. But those of you who are still with me, let me do that digression. I think it'll be fun. Okay, so as some of you will know, I'm still a book dealer of sorts, but I retired some time ago from antique dealing and book dealing, and I've sold many books all over the world. This is one that I didn't sell because it's in very, very poor condition, and because it's in poor condition, I thought I would use it as a paper test. This book is 282 years old. It was printed in London in 1743, and I'm going to use a blank sheet from it to do a paper test with modern pens and inks, using this 282-year-old paper, because it's the sort of thing that I'm inclined to do. But let me show you this. Let me just talk about the book for a moment. So this is volume 1 of the Tatler. Now, the Tatler it was a pioneering 18th century literary journal. It started Richard Steele, Englishman, started it, and it was like it was a weekly journal. If you look through it, it's a weekly journal. So this is collections of dates, and it is a weekly journal of news and gossip and social commentary, I guess, from London's coffee houses, which were like the bricks and mortar social media of the day, really. And then it was only produced right, for a very short period, right at the beginning of the 18th century. Although this is like this particular version was produced, and it's obviously a leather bound version back in the day, so it had been very expensive. This is a 1743 edition, so it's not a first edition, it's like a, I don't know, 20th edition, who knows, but it does cover volume 1 of the lucubrations of Isaac Bickerstaff, and Isaac Bickerstaff is a pseudonym, so that's what it was. This is an interesting thing. This is a book plate of the Nunn Appleton estate in Yorkshire, near the town of York, near the city of York, here in the UK, and started off as a nunnery. Hence the Nunn Appleton. But at the time this book was printed, the estate was owned by the Milner family. So there's some justices of the peace and some MPs, one or two knights, so Frederick Milner, Esquire, and this I thought about this because this would have been an expensive book. I mean, but books were very, 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 very expensive back in the day. This would have probably cost the equivalent of a manual worker his entire week's wages to buy this book. So typically, people didn't have books you know. And then you had the coming of free libraries to help educate the working masses, as it were. So this would have been in a posh hall, Nunn Appleton Hall, presumably in a library with lots of other leather-bound books, and this would have been sitting on the shelf for 30 years before the American Revolution. You know, the revolution. You know, the War of Independence. So that's a sort of timescale. And I just want to do this test with one sheet of paper here, which is still intact. You can see that it's really poor. It has faded a little. This brown stain might be light, or it might be something or other. But there's something that's been here. There's the shadow of what was there before. But we can still use this paint. In fact, I just want to show you something. Let me get my phone out and just do this. So I've got my phone out. Whoops. Let's try it again. Right, so let me show you this, because I always find this sort of I've found this sort of thing fascinating. But you can see, let me zoom a little bit more. So can you see that in the structure of the paper you've got these lines, these fine lines, and then of coarser vertical lines, and this is caused by this is laid paper, and this paper was made by hand, and the technique didn't change between the 1200s and the early 1800s. And it's called laid paper. It's basically like a wire frame, like a sieve, if you like, very, very fine. And this is rag. Quite often it's linen, but the old rags or linen were hammered and hammered and hammered into a pulp, and then this mixture was then in a tank or a vat, and you'd put this wooden frame with the wires, dip it in, and then swill it around a little bit, and then you'd have a fine layer of dissolved rag and its fibres, and then it was left out to dry, and then you had this paper, and that's how it was made. And it hadn't changed for 800 years. So this paper, someone would have made it by hand. Let me turn my phone off. There we go. Someone would have made this piece of paper by hand and then cut it to form to form the book, which was sewn using cord, and then it was bound. These are boards. These boards are covered in leather, but obviously it's seen better days, and this is why I'm prepared to do this. But imagine the labour. Imagine the labour to make. There's 300 just over 300 pages in this book. 300 pages. Imagine having to make paper by hand. I mean, we're so lucky these days that we can just buy a ream of paper, so 500 sheets of A4 for £5-6. I mean, it's just staggering. We are so lucky. But this paper is pretty good. Rag-based paper. It has the potential, although this hasn't been treated very, very well. I suspect because in the 1870s, particular member of the Milner family who was around at the time, head of the household, he was heavily into gambling, so that the property had to be leased to another occupier. And I suspect that at the time, probably the late 1770s, 77, 78, the contents of the library was have sold, and this book would have been floating around for 150 years or so, until I bought it at a provincial auction. No, in fact I didn't. I bought this at a car boot sale, which is like a yard sale in America. I'm just blowing my nose, sorry. And I bought it because it's condition. It's hard to say, because I bought probably about on the day I probably bought 50 books from an antiquarian bookseller from London. So this book may have languished in London for a century or more. Who knows? I would love to know. I'd love to know. But anyway, it's had a hard life. I'm just going to put the book plate over there, because and we're talking about 11 to 19. I need to just write that down so that I can put it in the at the beginning. So 11:19, wasn't it? Okay, so we're going to do the ink test. I know it's sacrilegious, but it's going to be interesting. So here we go. I think we'll start with it seems very incongruous to just use a ballpoint, but this is a filofax barley pen. I'm just going to I'm sure that the owner or successive owners of this will be turning in their grave and saying, well, that's Neil from the 21st century. What a shocking thing to do with our book. Filofax barley. Okay, let's have a zoom in and have a look at that. Okay, so not even any show through. So we're good. We're good so far. I'm going to try a Pilot V7, which is a pen I've used for over 30 years. Right, no need to worry about drying time, because it is very, 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 very fast drying. So again, I can't. I'm looking at the screen of the camera, and also I'm looking at this in real life, and I've got bright lights, and I cannot see any show through at all. So we're pretty good so far. Let's try. This is a Kaweco Lilliput with a Kaweco cartridge, ink cartridge in brown. I'm just going to type cartridge, because we're testing the ink, really, aren't we, rather than the actual pen. Okay, let's have a look at that. No, again, nothing at all. I don't know. I mean, I could cut it out and weigh it, and then I would work out the GSM, the grams per square metre, but maybe that's for another day. But it feels like it's 100 GSM, so a little bit thicker than the sort of paper you might typically find Filofax using, which is typically 80 or 90 GSM, but this feels like 100 GSM, but I could be wrong. We're going to go for some Noodler's Blue anti-feather, and this is I believe this is a fine nib. it looks like an extra fine, but Noodler's anti-feather. Although, to be honest, I can't really see the difference between the Noodler's anti-feather and any other Noodler's ink with regards to the feathering. But there we go, Noodler's anti-feather. It's one of those bulletproof inks that chemically bonds with the fibres of the paper. So if this was soaked in water, it wouldn't run. Well, we're doing all right so far, aren't we? You know, I'm actually quite impressed with that. I slightly feel awkward about trashing a piece of paper like this, but in the interest of science, I feel the need to do this. So we've got a Tom Studio pen with a fairly broad architect's nib. So this is Noodler's. I don't know which Noodler's it is, but I think this is. I'm pretty sure that this is blue. This is also Noodler's anti-feather, but it's quite a bold, wet nib. So this will be a really good test of this 282-year-old paper. Let's have a look at that. Okay, so it's on the page. Let's have a look. Well, would you look at that now? Isn't that fantastic? I'm mightily impressed, and I've left the toughest test till last. Now, from experience, I have found this is a fine nib, but nevertheless, it is a really tough test. And this has got some Noodler's bulletproof brown ink. I can't remember which one it is, but brown. I'm just going to put brown ink because it really doesn't matter what exact type it is, and it's another of those chemically bonding bulletproof inks. Okay, let's have a look at this. So this is the toughest test, and just as an example, so this is the same pen, my TWSBI Go, and I'm just going to show you this. So this is 80 GSM from a jot pad from what is it? It's a let's have a look. It's one of these. Where are we? A pucker pad. Okay, there we go. And you can see this is 80 GSM and the bleed through is awful. Okay, but what about this 282-year-old, roughly 100 GSM paper? We'll have a look. And I'm really keen on this. Now, there we go. Okay, so not good. Not good. This paper fails with the toughest test of all, but the other ones passed okay. So this is kind of interesting. It is kind of interesting. But this paper is not coated in any way. I imagine it's just straight out of the frame, as it were. It feels like there's some bite to it, and it's just. I imagine that this is how paper was. This paper feels like, I guess, This paper would have been similar to this. It was certainly made in the same way by hand, in exactly the same way from the 1200s to the beginning of the 1800s. Although wove paper was invented, I believe, in 1753, so a few years after this was made, but didn't come into, it didn't become popular on a mass market until the 1800s. And then things became more affordable for people. But I just want to end by saying, well, I've enjoyed doing that, even though it is a bit sacrilegious. I would not do this on a finer example, but I think it's okay here. I think Sir Frederick, who may well have been the owner of this, perhaps, he would have probably, I don't know, he might have approved, I don't know. But in the interest of science, it is what it is. So pretty good for everything apart from this one Noodler's brown ink that is very, very aggressive, but interesting. But I'll just leave you with one thing. My mother was a refugee in the war, and she's still alive, bless her. And she told me, I'm just going to blow my nose again. She said that in the war, paper was hard to get hold of, and she's an artist. She went to art college, and she said what she used to do was get hold of old books and use these leaves as paper. That was the only paper they could get hold of. Which just goes to show that we are very, very lucky to essentially have unlimited paper, almost unlimited. And from a paper-based productivity perspective, we wouldn't be able to do this. We wouldn't be able to work in paper if it cost us an arm and a leg, as we say in the UK. It's never been cheaper. And I think I'm going to end that there because I feel a little bit guilty about defacing something that is 282 years old. 282. Anyway, there we go. It is 1743. 74. M is 1,000. D is 500. Each of the two C's are 100 each, and then when you get an X and an L together, it's basically saying 50 minus 10, so that's 40, and then the three I's are 3, so 1743. Anyway, but an interesting thing. But thanks very much for watching, and until my next video, goodbye.